back-to-back games where the Leafs can't hold a third period lead, and it goes into overtime for the second consecutive game. This time, however, Leafs fall 2-1 to the Montreal Canadiens in OT. And this has now been a theme for the last couple games, that this team is just, I don't know, they're playing a great first couple periods and then just kind of caving in. And you saw it again today, guys. The first period, second period, both 0 goals apiece. It was nothing after 2 periods of play. Both goalies playing well. Carey Price playing Carey Price had the most traffic through the first 2 periods. Shots on goal were 7-7, and obviously in the first period was 0-0 after 1, and then 14-4 in favor of the Leafs in the second. But it was still a 0-0 hockey game. The Leafs go into the third period. And their first shot of the third period was a beautiful one. It was a great save on one end by Jack Campbell. Comes the other way. Hyman drops it off for Tavares. Or was it Hyman who drops it for Tavares? Or was it... No, Hyman gets to Kerfoot, who gets it to Tavares. And he absolutely rips it past Carey Price. And the Leafs are now up 1-0. We're like, all right, this is what we want to see. Great first 2 periods. And within the first, minute 6 of the third, you're in front 1-0. Exactly what you want to see. But from that moment onwards till the end of this hockey game, the Leafs can't even do a damn thing. They don't even get a single shot the rest of the third period. The Leafs end the third period with 1 shot on net, and it was the goal. In the first 2 minutes of the damn period. They give up 15 shots. Shots were 15-1. In the third period. And then, who was it? Marco Scandella blast ones from the point, and it's probably the one that Jack Campbell would probably want back. But it ends up in the back of the net, and we're tied 1-1 heading into overtime. And in overtime, all 3 Leafs get caught. Barrie, Marner, Matthews, and in comes Ilya Kovalchuk. No, excuse me, I think it was a 2-on-1. And Suzuki gets stopped. I think it was, I think Campbell poke checked it. And then Kovalchuk, backing up the play, gets the rebound, and the Leafs lose in OT. Shots on goal in overtime are 3-1 in favor of the Habs. Like I said, this is now the second consecutive game, guys, that this team has not only folded in the third period, but flat out not played. They just have not shown up. They fall apart at the seams. You're lucky to have got 2 points yesterday. Heck, you're lucky to have got 1 today. Jack Campbell got that point for this team today. Michael Hutchison, we probably all assumed before the hockey game that he was going to be the starter tonight. Well, obviously that didn't happen, and clearly that shows the trust, or lack of trust, that Sheldon Keefe and the coaching staff have in Hutchison. They fired out Jack Campbell again. He was spectacular, made some big-time saves, but he can only do so much. He needs some help. And he didn't get that in the third period. The Leafs caved in. They allowed the tying goal. They went into overtime. Had an opportunity. Really didn't get any shots or opportunities in that overtime. A lot of beautiful skating. A lot of pretty passes. But nothing on net. Same as in the third period. They even had a power play in the third period. But decided not to do anything about it. Didn't take a shot. Lots of quick in tight passes that lead to a turnover. Puck goes down the ice and nothing occurs. Something's got to give here, guys. Whether that's be Kyle Dubas gets on the phone and makes something happen, whether that be Sheldon Keefe taking these guys into gear, I don't know. Or the guys just wake up and play 60 minutes of hockey. Because something's got to give. And I don't know what it is. Now, I'm very happy the Leafs got 3 points out of a possible 4 in a back-to-back. That's great. Florida also lost in regulation. So if Leaf fans want to look at the standings, you're up by 1 point with Florida having 2 games in hand coming into the game. Even though we did only get the 1 point, you do now have a 2-point lead over Florida with them having 2 games in hand. However, you really needed those 2 points, and you didn't get it. With the win, Montreal is now only 5 points back of or 5 or 6 points back of the Leafs, something like that. 5 points back of the Leafs. The Leafs do have a game in hand. So you can't count that team out. Montreal's been playing great hockey. They're winners of 3 straight. And I think they're still 7-3 in their last 10, or are they now 8-2? They're still 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're playing good hockey. For the Leafs, they got to find something. They got to do something. I don't know what it is, because Jack Campbell today clearly wasn't the issue. It was the inability to create any sort of offense in that third period, as well as just cave in defensively. As Sheldon Keefe said it in after yesterday's game, he said something along the lines of, we looked scared. We looked like we were going to give up the lead. We looked like we knew we were going to give up the lead. And I thought that would have sent something to this team. Clearly it didn't, because the same thing happened today. You got the goal, and they decided to sit back, and oh my goodness, they're firing on all cylinders. Oh God, they look like they're going to score. Jack Campbell, meanwhile, is flying around like crazy to try and make big save after big save after big save. I talked about in the last one about how he didn't make that big save. Well, today, he made 14 big saves in the third period. But unfortunately, the one that went in, he probably wants that back. But again, you can't fault him for that. He did an incredible job. His rebound control was great. I thought he was spectacular. He was really calm in the net. And I thought he was fantastic, but the Leafs offense wasn't there. Like we said, a 2-1 victory in overtime for Montreal. And it's back to the drawing board for the Leafs. You look to try and build off a win. Clearly that didn't happen. So, I don't know what this team's going to look like moving forward. I don't know what this team's going to look like into the next game, because the next contest isn't until Tuesday as the Leafs come back home, take on the Arizona Coyotes. And it's as expected, Frederik Andersen, but don't bank on it. It's probably going to be Jack Campbell yet again, because after the way he played today, he deserves that next start if Frederik Andersen isn't available to play. With that game in mind, guys, and what we've seen over the last few days from Kyle, or more or less week from Kyle Dubas, is you look at the way he's kind of that trade with LA. How did that all shape up? Well, it took Frederik Andersen going down. We knew we needed backup help. We knew that was a whole thing. And physicality with Kyle Clifford. You knew that needed to happen. However, what you saw was Hutchison falter bad in the games where he came in for Frederik Andersen. The relief against Florida and then the game against the Rangers. And that right there was kind of like the final straw for Kyle Dubas. He's like, all right, enough is enough. We're pulling strings here. We're getting something done. Now, I don't know when that time will come for Kyle Dubas, because like I said, the last two games, they've blown third period leads and luckily got 3 points in the last 4 games, or 3 points in the last 2 games. You were lucky to get that. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, and that happened. Obviously, you got 3 points in the last 2 games, and that's great, but it's more of a moral victory, because you're not really gaining any ground. You're not seeing complete 60 minutes. You're not seeing a regulation win against teams you should beat. That's something that's got to get going. And a team like Arizona, a team that's fighting for their playoff lives, have not been playing good very as of late. 2-5-3 in their last 10. They've lost 2 straight games. They've kind of fallen out, really far out of that playoff berth. Now, I don't actually even know where they are in the Western Conference. Actually, somehow a team of 4 games over 500 is in the second wild card spot there in the Western Conference. But that's just the way it's working right now, and that is the Arizona Coyotes. So. They're fighting for their playoff lives, so they're going to come out guns a-blazing against the Leafs at home at Scotiabank Arena. I don't know what to expect. I think we all have come to the agreement that this Leaf team is very unpredictable, and with the decor that we've seen, especially tonight, it's all over the place. I'm not too sure about Timothy Liljegren. I love Rasmus Sandin. He looks very calm, makes a lot of right decisions. Liljegren today, at least I thought a lot, he was just falling over. I mean, he was making a lot of extra plays and falling over, which, as a defenseman, you don't want to do that. Because that usually leads to odd man rushes, leads to turnovers, and in the end, leads to goals against. So, I don't know what this team is going to look like, guys, moving into the next few games here, but all I got to say is this. You got 3 points in the last 2 games, which you really shouldn't have got, but you did. And you now have a couple days off. They have Sunday and Monday off to kind of regroup and rethink things. And if Kyle Dubas wants to shake something up, I think now is the time to do so, because you're before that trade deadline marker. Now, obviously, if there's nothing available, then don't be stupid. But for Kyle Dubas, I think you got to make something happen. I think that something, Leaf fans have seen enough of this decor, especially with Morgan Riley out, that we're missing dearly. And now Cody Ceci's out long-term, even though a lot of Leaf fans aren't a huge fan of him, which I don't blame you for not being a fan of him, but the guy who's been there all year long is now not there, so you're needing to slot guys in. Look, Sandin and Liljegren coming into the game had a total of 17 NHL games, and they were line mates today. You don't want to do that if you're a playoff team. If you're trying to go for a Stanley Cup, you just can't do that kind of thing. So, I don't know what Dubas is going to do. I don't know what he has up his sleeve. It's just, we got to wait and see what he does. We got to take this game by game. You got a point, great. You got another point against Florida, that's great. You got to move on from it. It sucks. All right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed the first 2 periods of this hockey game today, smack that like button. Do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below your guys' thoughts on the game, your thoughts on the video. Would you not like from this game today? What were your thoughts on Jack Campbell in net today? I think it's going to be a very high amount of you guys that are going to say loved what he did because he was fantastic. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments below about this game, this team, the future of this team, trade deadline, everything you want to talk about when it comes to the Leafs. All right, Twitter is down below for myself. Follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff. Also, the Patreon link is down below, so sign up for that if you guys are interested. And I will talk to you guys Raptors edition very shortly. 14th straight victory for the Toronto Raptors. Incredible. To see that going down, and we'll talk about that very shortly. And as for the Leafs, as we've talked about, their next game is on Tuesday at Scotiabank Arena. Arizona Coyotes in town, 7 o'clock puck drop there. It looks like, it says right here, Aiden Hill, I don't know who the heck that is, Frederik Andersen in net for the Leafs. That's going to change, I'm assuming, at some point with Jack Campbell. I mean, if Freddie Anderson's ready to go, then great. But it's probably going to be Jack Campbell in net for the Leafs there on Tuesday against Florida, all right? So thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Hope you guys know the video. Talk to you guys then.